Let's talk now about these PPP swampy Paycheck Protection Program numbers. And we've gotten some more data now because since Monday's release of the list of businesses that received loans, we've seen a lot of outrage. There's been a lot of outrage around the companies and friends and cozy partners of President Trump, Vice President Mike Pence, and Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, Governor Gavin Newsom, and others, who all had family, friends, relatives that seemed to take advantage of this PPP program, and not just at a $150,000 level, no, anywhere between $350,000 on up to millions that they received thanks to cozy relationships with members of the White House and Congress. So let's start with President Trump, since he's the leader of the free world. What did he get? Well, he had a bunch of people that took some advantages of his cozy relationships. He had multiple businesses tied to President Trump. So they had, let's see, the Trump Organization specifically, and President Trump, as well as other financial support for his 2016 run for president, his inauguration. So people that donated to his inauguration, people who helped facilitate his campaign, people who donated millions to advertisements for the Trump administration, as well as the Trump Organization. Many of them. So an analysis done by the Associated Press shows that as much as $273 million was loaned to more than 100 companies that are owned or operated by donors to Trump. I'm going to repeat that. $273 million was loaned to more than 100 companies that are owned or operated by donors to Trump. That's a fact. How does that sit with you? Let me know in the comments how that sits with you. Here's one. I'll read a few of them. J.H. Palmer Associates. It's a real estate firm run by longtime Trump backer Jeffrey Palmer. That's Geoff, Jeffrey Palmer. They were approved for a loan. The company is listed as G.H. Palmer, on the list of loans that was distributed. It got upwards of $350,000 to $1 million for his real estate firm in Beverly Hills, California. They were approved for a loan. And guess what? Palmer gave at least $4 million to a pro-Trump super PAC called America First Action. Desert Development, here's another one, Desert, D-E-Z-E-R, Development, which is a real estate company founded by Michael Desert. It says on its website it has the same address as the Trump International Beach Resort in Miami, Florida. They do what's called a branded real estate portfolio, and they include 6 Trump-branded towers that they own. Desert got between $350,000 up to $1 million from the PPP program. Then there's the White Stallion Energy Company. It's a coal mining company out of Indiana. It's owned by Stephen Chancellor. The coal executive reportedly met with the former EPA chief Scott Pruitt to discuss softening the pollution laws. White Stallion gave $175,000 to Trump's inaugural committee. So that's nice, you pay him up. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. He also was seen shaking hands with President Trump, along with Indiana Senator Mike Braun, when they visited the state back in 2018. And they got between $5 million and $10 million in PPP loans. These are stimulus dollars, by the way, folks, that were meant for small businesses to keep people on their payroll and keep the lights on in their businesses. There's a multi-millionaires that receive these PPP loans. Mitch McConnell. We talked about this yesterday. Mitch McConnell and his wife's family business, Elaine Chao, she's the Department of Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao. They received up to $350,000 in loans set aside for companies who are struggling from coronavirus. And it's not just Trump. It's not just Mitch McConnell. It's Democrats too. Governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is tied to a winery that received money. The list goes on. How about Robert De Niro, Hollywood celebrity? Robert De Niro, forget it, like he needs help. Robert De Niro has Nobu restaurants, about like 12 different locations, I believe, got stimulus money. I'm not sure the exact number, but there were a number of the Nobu restaurants from Robert De Niro that got PPP loans. And there was also a firm linked to Nancy Pelosi that got PPP loans. So the swampiness, let's talk about draining the swamp, shall we? Let's drain the swamp in Washington. We heard so much about draining the swamp. When you have over 100 different Trump donors that got cushy PPP loans, it's no wonder that the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, didn't want to release this information. He had to be pushed by Democrats to release it. Well, let's be honest, it didn't shine too good a light on some Democrats as well as some Republicans. It was an equal opportunity offender of people taking advantage of these PPP loans. So the swampiness persists in Washington, folks. But we heard so much about President Trump was going to drain the swamp. Hundreds of his friends managed to get $273 million in paycheck protection loans. That's right, Grover. Can you believe that? Yeah. This is the swampiness of Washington right now, folks. Unbelievable. This is what happens to these entrenched members of Congress. A lot of this stuff doesn't really happen when you're first-term members of Congress. You have some, but when you're there and you're an entrenched member of Congress, like Mitch McConnell and others, you've got a machine that just pumps money into this system and just keeps you there. And so you rub their elbows, you scratch their back, they scratch yours constantly. This is what happens. This is exactly what happens. So, this is where you need to write to members of Congress, demand that these, people return this money that should not have accepted it in the first place. We saw the outrage when Shake Shack and TGI Fridays and other companies, big companies that shouldn't have been accepting this money, returned the money after there was a lot of outrage about it. So why shouldn't we do the same thing here? And now this is what bothers me so much, because we want to get rid of this. So it's okay for this to happen, where we can get rid of unemployment benefits at $600 a week to help people stave off poverty when their jobs are lost. But it's totally fine for this to happen, where he's allowed to then get, his family's allowed to get PPP money upwards of $350,000 up to $1 million. We don't know the exact amounts, but he was in that category. Like, that's okay. The double standard is the thing, like I've said it before, I'll say it again, that absolutely chaps my you-know-what. So much thanks to all of you guys for joining us on the show today. Thank you so much for subscribing to The Big Show. If you are new here, please subscribe, and you can become a channel member as well. Check out all the links below that we'll have in the description so you can take action on any of those things we mentioned on today's show. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, 9 a.m. Eastern time, everyone. Thank you so much. Much love to all of you, and be kind to each other. We'll see you next time.